Um, oh yeah, thank you for that recording. Yeah, so we've already spent 9 minutes waiting for people to join us. We're gonna start because we are here. So we don't need hundreds to move, we just need us, one person, and we get going. And we've got a lot of things to cover today. Having watched that video, I'm just going to talk briefly about BABN, but I think that video actually gave a very good coverage of what BABN is all about. I'm just going to open, give a background. So British African Business Network is a non-for-profit organization and was created with the objective of providing a support platform to African businesses in the UK. So the aim is that we can empower our community members to connect, to scale up, and grow their businesses and succeed. We all know that doing business all by yourself can be challenging. It's a lonely path. So this is created for people to come together, share ideas, connect, network, and then grow. And a few works that has been done by BABN, as we've seen in the video, includes partnership with All Party Parliament Group for ethnic minority businesses, where we pioneered a research, into various policy consultations. Covering the Lending Standards Board consultation, which aimed to improve lending practices in UK finance. So it's not just about networking. We also want to influence policies, because when the policies favor us, it's easy to thrive. But when you work so hard and the policy is not in your favor, then it's I don't know the word to use to measure to explain that. So we don't just work at this level, we want to influence politics. And another thing that BABN also championed recently was the help to grow research, which is being done by think LSB, that's Lego, I'm sorry, London Business School. So working with the organizers to kind of rework the eligibility criteria, which was making it difficult for our members, which are Africans, to get into. So we've written to the government in charge of that, trying to put pressure for them to review that and make sure that it's inclusive. So these are bits and pieces of what this organization is doing. And we like that you're here, and we're hoping that, if you've not joined this association, by the time we finish, you'll find reasons why you want to be a part of what is happening here today. Right. So we are here today to talk about the clarity-driven growth. I'm going to share my slide now so that we can delve into the topic for today. Good. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, please.
Good.
Clarity driven.
Yes. Right. Okay. Let's just make it big. So, clarity-driven growth. So, grow your business with clear direction, focus, and strategy. And you might be wondering, who am I? Why should I be talking about this? My name is Joy Nworie, and I'm the senior business consultant at Z Plus Consulting. And what we do is we help businesses map out a growth strategy that takes them from point A to point B in a way that they know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and the result they want to achieve. And that's why we're talking about to grow your business with clear direction, focus, and strategy. And one thing, and why this topic? Previously, we've worked with businesses trying to help them build their data, helping them to get insight from their data that can help them make the right decision. But one thing we realize is that, people get that, but there's a holistic approach to growth that was missing. So instead of just talking about, okay, understand what your data is doing, get insight from there, we're now looking at how can we help businesses go from point A to point B. So that's what I'm talking about, the clarity-driven growth, trying to help you understand your business, understand, a clear direction. What do you want to achieve? The focus and the strategy. So without wasting much time, I'm just going to go to talk about that. Sorry, it's my arrow key is not working. Okay, I think I'll use my mouse now. Right. So growth in business is not just about working hard, it's about working with clarity. And what story I usually tell people about this particular topic, that it's not just about working harder, but working with clarity. And I tell the story. I'm a Christian, and there's a story in the Bible which, if you're a Christian, you might have read about it, whereby Peter was a disciple of Christ, that he went to fish, and they toiled throughout the night and did not catch one fish. These are experts. And by the time it was morning, they were tired. They were in the right place. Of course, when you want to get a fish, you need to be in the sea. They're already in the sea, they've got everything they needed, but they didn't get one thing. And in the morning, Jesus told them, deep in the side of the sea. They did that and they got a large number of fish. Now, what am I trying to bring out from the story? That was clarity, that was direction. So he said deep at this side. It wasn't like, okay, try this place, try. No. At this particular spot. That was direction, that was clarity. And if you have direction, if you know, do this and you get results, it's easier. Because by the time you've toiled all the night, you are burnt out, what can happen is that you might even lose confidence in yourself. You might even be wondering, oh, my business is not working. You might even be wondering, maybe I should give up on this. So that's why when you get clarity, it's easier for you to grow. It's easier for you to get from point A to point B. You know what you're doing and you know why you're doing. So that's basically what this it's trying to tell us. So what it definitely means is you go from scattered efforts to priorities, to confident decisions, and to intentional growth. Mark the word intentional growth. So it's not like, this business, I'm hoping that you're going to grow. Okay, let me do this. And, no. You know what you want to achieve, and you move with the priorities, and you make confident decisions. And by the end of the session, what the expectation is that you have a clearer picture of what is slowing growth. Be it in your business, if you're already doing business in your business, or if you're going to start, you get that clarity of what do you want to achieve in your business and what to do next. So moving from busy, scattered, reactive, and then after going to focused, strategic, and intentional, you'll be able to identify the clarity gaps in your business and define your next priority for growth. And then leave here with the practical action steps you can apply immediately. Or even if maybe you're still trying to get things, but at least you know what you're doing when you leave here today. So that's my expectation, that when you're living here, that's something you're going to pick up. I'm going into this week, I'm going to apply it. So we're going to be looking at why growth stalls when efforts outpaces clarity. What does clarity-driven growth mean? And we look at a simple framework that explains this, and we're going to look at an applied case study that helps us understand what clarity is all about. So clarity-driven growth means you know what to do, why it matters, and the next steps that move you towards your desired result. So clarity turns motion into momentum. And what that means is that if you know what to do and you don't know why it matters, you find out that you can do it today, do it tomorrow, and the next day you're like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm not doing this again. But when you know why what you're doing, why it matters, you get up in the morning and you have the energy to get to up, and there's this momentum. I know why I'm doing this. I know what I want to achieve, and I can get and do this. So that is basically what clarity, it gives you that zeal to move on. And then you know that when you do it, you're going to get a result because there's a pathway, there's a priority, there's an action, there's a plan. So that's basically what we're trying to do. So when you can name the result, the priority, the next step, then growth just comes in naturally and it becomes intentional. So if you look at these three key things I mentioned here: direction, focus, and action. Please, if at any point you want to ask me a question, you can please stop me and that'll be okay. So that's but if not, you can also keep the question at the end. So but feel free to stop me to add more light on something if it's not very clear. You are welcome to do that. So direction means a clear destination and a desired outcome. So this is something you need to define. What outcome do I want to achieve? Once that outcome is very clear, then you can now have a small number of priorities that can help you get there. And then specific steps with measures and consistency. When we talk about measure, we're talking about how do you measure and track, and numbers now comes into this place. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're scared of numbers, then you need to sit up and brace up, because you can't shy away from it. You need to know what you want to achieve. You need to know the priorities, which are, and then the action. Now, how do you measure what you're doing? How do you, track it? Because what you're seeing that is actually going to give you consistency. And that's going to make you want to even take action. Because it all comes from, why am I doing this? What do I want to achieve? So this is very, very important, when we talk about clarity-driven growth. And normally, when we work with businesses, one thing we try to understand is a kind of diagnosis, to look at what is happening now, all the different angles of the businesses, and then how do we take it to the next step. So growth slows when the basics are unclear audience. You're trying to speak to everyone. This weakens the message and offer. So people don't know who you're talking with, and it just weakens it. It's not direct. No, you're not calling out the person you're talking to, or the weak value proposition. Then people don't understand the problem you solve or the results that you create. And when I talk about this problem, don't think about, oh, maybe this is for service businesses. No, even if you're a product business, let's say you're even selling, just trying to look for example, whatever you're selling, if you look at it as a product, it becomes a commodity. But when you look at your product as a tool that solves a problem, the way you talk about it differs. And the audience it attracts differs. And that's where value comes into what you're doing. But all these things starts with when there's clarity of what, when you have a clear goal of what you want to achieve in that business. And what now happens, because also the message is already weakened, and then you're not calling out anybody, we don't even know what you're doing, then it's difficult for people to ask you, can you tell me more about what you're doing? That's what we call lead. Lead means that if let's say it's a service business, we'll ask you, please, okay, you're doing this. Can you tell me more about it? Okay, how much does it cost? Not everybody that asks you that question will actually buy, and that's the truth. But if 10 people comes to buy to ask you, and 2 people buy, that's 20% conversion rate. So that means you need to have more people come to ask you the question for you to get people to buy. So, but when from the beginning things are not in place, do you see that it scales through? It's like a spiral thing. It goes down and down. And then for you, the entrepreneur, there's a scattered priority. So what happens is that too many tasks, and then the most important work gets delayed. Is anybody talking, or is it noise? Okay. So then you find that too many tasks compete for your attention. And that's one thing that can actually, pull down business. When you focus on unimportant tasks and you give them all the best. Now, the main thing that helps you achieve your goal is not being done. But if you don't know what you're actually trying to get to, find out that priority is going to have a scattered priority. So you do this one, or it's not working here, you do this one, it's not working here. And at the end of the day, you burn out. Then another thing again is poor visibility of the numbers. So when we work with people to look at this clarity, it's not a guesswork. We look at data. We look at, so if you already have your data, or if you don't already, maybe it's a new business, what is the benchmark around talking about? So you don't make decisions. Let's say, oh, you feel that maybe last year you sold 1,000 units of your product, and this year you want to get 5,000. Remember, I said you feel like you didn't go to check what number exactly. Because sometimes when sales are coming, if you're selling, let's say, a product business, you might think, oh, okay, I'm selling. But sometimes when you're actually looking at the numbers, because you're a human being, sometimes you're thinking this. You find that it's not as your thoughts. So you're looking at numbers, you're making forecasts, you're asking yourself, okay, what's the demand? What is this business profitable? Because you don't want to do something just for doing sake. So if not, at the end of the day, you're burn out. you're putting effort and nothing is happening. I keep giving an example of a business that, they made 40K in a year and they spent 90K. That's like they might have not have done nothing. They've just stayed in their house and slept, because it's just like you spend and then you made something and you didn't even cover it at all. You lost in the business. So, and before it got to that point, it didn't start in one day. If things were being tracked, it couldn't have gotten to that point, because they would have seen it earlier and have put things in place. So without a weekly or monthly review or tracking habits, the business might keep repeating activities without learning from it. So find a way to track what you do. And remember, you mustn't do everything. So it's a kind of, this is the priority, and then you track it to get a particular result. Before you add more effort, improve the quality of your decision. Now, this picture just summarizes this whole thing we are talking about. So, clarity-driven growth means you're being moved from confusion to focus, from busy to strategic, and from efforts to results. So if you look at my left-hand side, it's showing what happens when you're working without clarity. You're busy, but you're stuck. So too many ideas, wasted time and energy, inconsistent results, and then unclear direction. But when there's clarity, some of those things we just defined, you're focused, you're intentional, and then growth is coming in, because there's a clear vision of what you want to achieve. There's a clear audience that you've been defined, clear offer, clear strategy, and clear action. So you know what to do, you know why you're doing it, know the result you want to do. So I want you to start asking yourself, in my business, do I know why I'm doing what I'm doing? Do I know what I want to achieve? For example, if you have a restaurant, remember, your goal is not just to have a restaurant. There are a lot of restaurants in the UK or in the world. There must be a particular problem that your restaurant wants to solve. Maybe there's an experience you want to create. Maybe something, that helps you to know where you even position yourself, how you talk to people, how you even present your pricing, your offers, because you understand there's a clarity of what you're doing, and then you know the results you want to achieve. So clarity, gives you direction and understanding, and then gives you a focused and prioritized steps, and then growth, measurable and sustainable result. And why I say sustainable result is because you can have a one-off growth, but sustainable means it's being dealt from the root cause. And then it's just like when you on a tap. You on the tap, water just keep on flowing. If that's water is not flowing, you know what's happening, because the tap is off. So sustainable result that you can actually plan with. Like I can actually say, okay, this is where we are. This is where we want to be in the next 2 or next 3 years. So that's how it works. Right. So what unclear growth looks like, you make reactive choices, then scattered marketing. And this is also one thing I want to talk about. You have too many things. I'm not saying that it's not good to diversify. That's not what this is trying to say. When I talk about offers, is that disjointed offers, that this one is solving this problem, this one is solving this problem. At the end of the day, you're talking to different types of people. So your marketing activities cannot be brought together, and makes you now have ways to say, because you cannot really do anyone and do it very well when you're talking to different people. We can have the same particular pot of people and have different offers for them that solve their problem. That makes it easier for you. And then it's easier because you know how to connect to them, you know how to give your message to them. And also, when you're unclear about what is happening, find that visibility of progress is replaced by constant activity. Busyness does not mean that you actually producing results. So always check when you're busy what exactly you're doing, and that's going to help you in your growth. And then the last thing I can have, it can bring low confidence, and that's where you don't want to be, because what it means is that you can now stop everything you're doing, and you now feel that, oh, you know what, I think this, it might even affect you personally, but you don't want to be there. It's not because of you, it's because of the root cause that has not been dealt with. So, but when you have clarity, intentional decisions, the right customer hears the right value clearly, there's measurable progress, And then there's better use of time. Better use of time. This is very, very key, because when you use your time properly, you get the results you want to get. Time is a limited resources, which it's something that we need to think about how we use it. Now, excuse me. So I've already spoken about this. What happens when there's no clarity? Wasted effort, slow growth, poor decisions, and burnout, which is not where you want to be as an entrepreneur. So I'm just trying to define why you need to get this clarity, clear on what you want to do so that you can get the growth you want. So that is what I'm trying to build this foundation, so you can get why you need to really sit down and understand what you're doing. Is my screen still sharing? You said it's paused. Am I still sharing? Am I still sharing my screen? Can you still see my screen?
I can see your screen, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. You said
Yes,
it's paused. I just wanted. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So yes, so unclear growth is expensive, and you don't want to go into that. Okay, right. So what clarity changes is that it moves you from confusion to focus, to confidence, to consistency, to growth. You might say, you know what? I don't think I'm confused. I know what I'm doing. That's very good. That's where we want you to be. But if you're not sure, and then, you're not getting, it's not clear what you're actually building, then that means you need to think about, am I confident in what I'm doing? So clarity creates better decision before it creates better results. It's decisions that helps you to get results. So when we talked about your time management, if I'm not clear about what I need to use my time to do, then I won't make the right decision. What's going to happen is that maybe when I need to be working, that's when I'm sleeping, then I can't get a better result. So it starts from making better decisions. So what will put in place will help me make better decisions. So better decisions that you know what to say yes to, what to delay, and what to stop. And what that means is that we've already defined what goal you want to achieve. You've already defined the kind of business you want to grow. And remember, you can define it now, because sometimes one thing I see again is that you define what you want to do, and you're like, I don't know again. But the truth is that you build, yes, you keep growing. You keep growing, but for this moment, have a point, have a particular thing you want to, because if you leave your ideas, it will keep dancing around. It will keep, bringing more new one, and what will happen is that you just jump around. So you know what to say yes to, so that even if you get an offer that doesn't align with what you're building, you ask yourself, or you get an activity or something you need to do, or maybe business expense that you need to make. I think asking yourself, do I need to say yes to this? Is it in line with the goal we want to achieve? And if not, do I need to delay it? Maybe in the next 6 months, it will be right for us to do it, because time is a key thing. If you make the wrong decision in your business, sometimes it can take you down, that by the time you get up, it's a problem. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't make decisions, you shouldn't do things. But the main thing is making sure that you have a clear map, a clear roadmap of what you want to achieve, and then make the right decisions and what you need to stop. Because sometimes find that some of the activities you engage in needs to stop, because it's not going to get you to where you want to be. And then what happens then is that your energy is concentrated on a few actions that matter most. I remember one man, he left his professional business and job, and then started a business. He was doing very well. I think it was already earning more than 250K per annum, pounds. So he said he started this business, and in 3 months, no customers. And then he now spoke to one of the people that he used to be his client when he was working. And they asked him, okay, let's just come to the office and watch what you do in a day. That was all. They came to his office and they just said, don't worry, let's just see how you spend your day. And they found out that all the things he does at the end of the day are not the things that will bring him clients. So he was now doing maybe like admin job, maybe like fixing this. And at the end of the day, by the time it's even time to talk about, okay, who do I need to talk about what I do? He's tired. And they ask him, do you see why this business is not working? It might look like a small thing, but you know, this actual, idea they gave him turned things around. So when you know what you're aiming to achieve, your energy can be concentrated on a few actions that matters the most, and you can get the results that you need to get. And then more confidence, you get a clear reason for each move and message. I've talked about measurable progress so that growth stops feeling vague, but feeling like something that can be tracked. And you don't also live in permanent urgency. I don't know if you've been in that place. I've worked with people. I've also been in that place like before, I also, moved away from that point whereby, this one comes, you want to do this, permanent urgency. It doesn't have to be like that. You see someone, it's just as if you're walking. No, it doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to be in that kind of state of permanent urgency. When things are clear, when your things are defined, you know when to say, you know what, I know you can wait, and I'm going to go and do this one, and then I'll come back to you. So when clarity improves, execution becomes lighter and more effective. So ask yourself now, my business, the way I'm executing it, is it cumbersome or is it lighter? As in, do I feel as if maybe the whole of the business is on my shoulder, or are things moving the way it should be? And sometimes you don't even see it. You think this is the only way it could work. No, it's not the only way. There's always a way around things. It might be that you might need to just sit down, reach out, and ask yourself, I need help. Let someone help me. Because when you know what you're doing, you know the goal you want to achieve, you know the priorities, it's easier to execute and things becomes more effective. And you can even go to sleep and rest because sometimes you're seeing business owner, you go to bed and you're still thinking because you know that. I'm not saying that it's your business, quite all right, but then it becomes lighter to execute because you know what you do. Now, the 5 pillars of clarity-driven growth is which is vision. What are you building towards? And every growth choice starts here. Define what you're building towards. Audience, who exactly do you serve? Offer, what clear outcome do you deliver? Then strategy, how will you attract, convert, and retain your customers? Because this is a lifeline. So when you know what you're building, you know your audience, you know your clear outcome. So how do I get these people that's going to help me do this? So this is now when you can ask yourself, what exactly do I need to do? And then when you know that, you now know what must I do now? What must I do next? What comes first? What comes second? What comes third? Because if you start number 3, number 1, then there's already a problem. And if you start number 1 and then maybe jump to number 10, then that's a problem. So that's why we talk about this route map that takes you from 1A for one point to another point to make sure that you're moving in the order you are meant to move. Of course, there's sometimes you might need to replan and re-strategize, but the truth is that it's easier to strategize when there's already a map. Then you know, okay, it's at this point that I need to change, we change it. But when it's not there, then that means it's all about, oh, this one is not working. You shift all that entirely from the course. Maybe you're almost 50% going to this point and then things doesn't work. Then you now shift back to 0% instead of just fixing the middle and then kind of divert, or maybe just fixing it at that point, not going back all the way and starting afresh. So the vision, the pillars I spoke with, let me just explain what I mean by that. So what does growth need to look like in the next 6 to 12 months? Have you divided what you want to achieve your business in the next 6 to 12 months? It doesn't have to be so big, but the truth is that it doesn't also have to be so small, but you need to know what you need to achieve in the next 6 to 12 months. And if you've been trading, if you've been in business, find that you already have history, which I call data, that can help you look at, okay, this is what we've done for this few years. This is how we've moved. This is how we've moved. Now, based on this, can we progress to this next stage? And that's what we, when business talk about focus, that's exactly what is happening here. So that it's not like you know what, I feel we can do this, and you jump in. And if you don't get it, you're feeling like maybe you're a failure. No, you look at your history, and from there, plan what you're going to. And then for you to get that, so what will you measure weekly to know that you're moving in that direction? Because any plan of 12 months starts from today. So if the first month goes, it's gone. So if I'm hoping, oh, okay, I'm in month 3, things are just going to get better in April without a clear strategy of what I need to do, then I will get to 12 months, you get to the 12 months, and then things are still not won. And what happens? You start all over again. But you don't want to do that, because remember, time waits for no man. And then you choose a few indicators that tell you whether the business is moving in the right direction. And then if the destination is not clear, then effort turns into motion without direction. So one thing again is the growth model. Be clear about that, how that growth will happen. Do you need to get more leads, which I've explained to be people coming to find out about what you're doing? If you're someone that sells online, that means more traffic, more people visiting your site to see what you're doing, and then turning that into people buying. And then how do I get them to come back? Or is it my pricing? Do I need to increase my price to get what I'm trying to do? So these are the different models they're going to be looking at. Which one do I need to touch, or do I need to actually focus on these things to get my results? Then I've spoken about audience clarity. Who are they? What do they need? So identify the urgent problem, the pinpoint or decision that matters now. So, and then also, why would they choose you? And then what triggers action? So when I talk about this question to answer, now this guy I worked with. So he had these 4 questions. Who gets the best result from my work? He got that one ticked. He knows who gets that. It was women. So he had a product for women. And then, of course, he understood that, yes, I want this woman from this age, I think from 25 to 45 was his target audience. That one was ticked. What problems keep them stuck or frustrated? He understood that it was clearly written on his offer. Ticked. What language they already used to describe that problem? So he went online and Googled and find what he thinks, what is actually called, technical. That's the name it's used. And then what makes my solution more useful, simpler? He got that one. He's good in what he's doing. But nobody was coming. He was doing advertising, doing the flyers, sharing out, and nobody was coming. Like, okay, you are a man. This product is targeted at women. Why not just walk down the road or walk down to maybe a coffee shop or maybe somewhere or people and just, show them the flyer and ask them, explain to them what you're trying to achieve and show them what you're doing. And okay, he went there with a flyer, spoke to the first lady, and the lady was like, so what exactly is this? Are you trying to tell me? What exactly are you selling? So he said, no, that this is what he wants to achieve. And now explain to her what she's doing. Lady said, oh, do you mean, I can't remember the name she called it. I said, yeah, so yes, because he doesn't even know that's what it's called. That's what women call it. He said, okay. No, the guy was like, see what I'm trying to achieve. He said, yeah, but this is what we call it. Said, okay, that's fine. Thank you. He left that lady. 5 different ladies, and all of them still said the same thing. He came back and said, oh my. So I've been, going around trying to get a result, and I'm not even using the language that they're using to describe. By the time he changed that, everything changed and the business boom. So that's why you need to answer this question, tick the whole thing, and then ask yourself, is there anyone that is missing? And if you need to get down, to the people you are actually meant to that's your customers, and ask them questions so that you can use the language they're already using. It's very, very useful. It can help you. That's part of making sure that you are clear about your audience. You're using the right word that you're using so that you can actually make sure that you're getting there. So this is very, very key. And then offer clarity, what problem you're solving, what results can the client get, and then what gives you your offer credibility, and how do you get them the result. So and then that's offer clarity, and then you talk about action clarity. So these are the 5 pillars of, once you get you're clear on those 5 things, it's easier to get your business growing simply because you now know what needs to be done for key. These are the key pillars that helps you achieve growth in business. So, and clarity is only powerful when it changes what happens next. So choose your top 3 priorities. Name the most important outcomes or projects for this for the business season. And then I always talk about measuring. And yes, I'm a data person, and if you don't measure it, you won't know that it's working. It's not a feeling issue. But the only way you can know that it's working is checking the numbers yesterday, the numbers few years ago, and the numbers today, what it's all about. Or if it's something you're starting today, you're asking yourself, you start collecting that data. That's it. Collecting it, measuring it, taking it. And it doesn't take, so when companies talk about KPI, that is your KPI, your key performance metrics. You're measuring it, is it this? And it doesn't have to be very, very complex. It's just the language you understand. Okay, maybe I need to post on social media. I need to get it put on social media 5 days a week. This week, how many times did I post? That kind of keeping track, that is basically what it's all about. And then create a stop doing list so that you can protect your attention. This is very, very clear. So that it's not every time, sometimes you might come to your laptop to work and then you see something else before you know it. No. Make sure that you're clear on what you're doing. If you're someone that is visual, that need to put it around you, please do it. And then a simply weekly execution reading we can talk about. Let's say on Monday, you review your weekly top priorities, make sure that you're sure what you're doing that week. And then midweek, check progress, remove blockers, adjust the sequence. And then Friday, reflect on what has moved, what slowed, and what to carry forward. So it's very, very important. If maybe you have people in your business, you already have staffs, you have team working for you, you can delegate some of these things for them to keep track. But there are some that you as a person need to track of, but we need to track, we need to measure to know that we are growing. Now, I've been trying to tell you what clarity looks like. So this is a case study, an example of a goal, a business. This is a goal they want to achieve. With that roadmap, how will they achieve this in the next 2 years? What needs to be measured? What do we know now? And how does what we know now helps to actually make the plan for the future? So that in this next 2 years, they know what they're doing and they know whether that can be achieved. So what this does is turn from a 2 million ambition to a measurable growth plan. So this business have a goal, want to achieve 2 million sales within 2 years. So the question clarity
I'm sorry, Joy. Are you supposed to have changed the slide? Because all it says here is what happens when there is no clarity.
Oh dear, that means it's not sharing. That was why okay, let me stop sharing. Okay, let me stop sharing and start again. Because it give me a notice then that as if maybe it's not sharing. So what can you see now?
I can see a company wants to achieve 2 million in sales.
Good, yes. Yes. Thank you so much for stopping me. Yeah, that's basically what you're supposed to see. Sorry about that. I don't know where I missed it because there was a time it popped out on my screen. It stopped sharing. That's why I asked, can you still see my screen? Let's yeah, they'll come, but we'll just continue with this. But I'm glad you've noted it so that we can now see, but you definitely need to see this one. All right. So this is a scenario moving a roadmap, a clarity-driven growth for a company that want to achieve 2 million in sales within 2 years. So what we're trying to do here is move from an ambition to a measurable growth plan. So this is going to turn this revenue goal into monthly targets and trackable KPIs that can help them achieve this goal. So now, what exactly needs to happen every month so that this goal can be achieved? And then we'll make some assumptions in this. So revenue targets of 2 million, that's what they want to achieve. And then time frame, 24 months. Then benchmark conversion rate, 4%. That means if 100 people comes to their site, only 4 people buy. So that's a 4% conversion rate. And then an average order value of £250. So we know this information. So if we divide it, if we walk back from this goal, so what they want to do is that each month they want to get 83,000 pounds. Now, and then how many orders do they need each month to achieve this goal? 8,000 orders. Then how many visitors do they need each month? Because we already said they have a 4% conversion rate, which is something that have been tracked. And if you don't have it yet for the business, it's something you can get a benchmark, you can do it and check. For my type of business, what's the kind of conversion rate that we have? And then do it, and then by the time you get maybe to 1 year, you can get your own data and they can work out how it works, and then it can be improved. Conversion rates can be improved, but this is, an example of how to actually clarify this. Then, how many visitors do they need each month to come to their site so that they can achieve this goal? They need 8,325 people to come to their site. And then what they are selling, the average order value is £250. So, do you see? It's turned this thing to a plan, a business plan they can monitor every month. They now have a plan of what want to achieve. So one thing is so the first thing is, how do we get 8,325 people to come to our sites? That is the first question they're asking themselves before you can be talking about the 2 million people. But at least they have a number to work with. And they're asking themselves, which channel is going to give us this? And maybe if the business that have been trading already knows, can now go back and look at the different channels they've used in the past. Which one has been giving us more sales? Which one have people discovered us through? And then they can now discover, okay, this one works better. We can now focus our ad spend or marketing spend on this particular one to get this number. So if at the end of the month, they are not hitting this 8,000 people coming to the site, it's already obvious that they may not get this. Or else we can have people who are buying, more than two, maybe buying 500, spending £500 on buying order value or more than that. But that's another case that can happen. But those ones you can't plan with it because you never know how many people are going to buy more than that. But if you don't have this number of people, you already know that this is where you need to work. Do you now see how this is being worked through? So if you get this number of people a month to the site, and then at the end of the month we didn't get this 333 orders, that it's what we needed to achieve this goal, then you are now asking ourselves the question, are we getting the right people or just anybody? Because you can have views and there are people who are not interested in what you're doing. Are we just advertising for advertising sake? So do you see, it's helping you to ask the right questions. Okay, now if you're getting this number of orders and then you're having more money, or maybe, and then it's not giving, you're not spending exactly this average order value, then so these questions helps you to actually know where to actually touch, where to actually work on to get the result. So, but without this clarity, find that the goal stays inspirational. It now becomes like, okay, we want to achieve this. How do we achieve this? And then, and let me go to the next. I'm sure you can still see the next screen now. So now, based on what I've just explained, this is how to calculate the monthly targets. So this makes the growth plan visible and actionable. And then if you can now have these numbers even displayed, monitor it every day, monitor it every week. How many people do we have this week? How many orders did we get this week? How many and how much did we get? This is your KPI now. So that when you hear KPIs, you don't think about, oh, what exactly? It's you know what you're tracking, you know what you're measuring, you know what it will give you that goal. And with this, so whatever your business is, you've decided what goal you want to do, you decided the number that will get you to that goal, you can now track those numbers. Be it weekly, which is always better weekly than just because daily might become so cumbersome, or else if your business works with that kind of way. But getting those big, no, don't always always look at the numbers. Don't just work with things are working. No, look at the numbers. It helps you to actually know, are they working or not? And if they're not working, then it's easier for you to actually fix things that needs to be fixed. So what the business should be targeting every month: traffic, conversion, orders, average order value, and then revenue. So if one number is off track, clarity helps you see which lever needs attention first because it's already defined. So traffic, conversion, average order value. This is very key. So the six core metrics for this case, which I've mentioned, is the monthly revenue, the website traffic, conversion rates, orders, and average order value, and also cumulative revenue, because as you're going at the end of 6 months, how much have you done? Because you might go over, you might go below. Some months may not work as other months, but that cumulative revenue helps you to see, are we on track to get where we are going to? Then the wider KPI categories you can review, maybe outcome KPI, that's monthly revenue, the quarterly growth rate, and then you can look at also sales KPI, which is looking at orders, conversion rates, new versus returning customers, help you to know, okay, if my returning customers are this number and the new is this number, so which one do I need to work on? Do I need to get more new people, or do I need to reach out to the people that have already bought, so to get more to returning customers for my business? So this helps you to decide where you want to go. And you might ask me, how do I get all this information? Whatever stage your business is, you have this. If your business is already that big, you should have a CRM that gives you this information. If your business is still growing, is still the early stages, you can track this in a spreadsheet. You can track. There's a lot of apps that can help you these days, but you need to actually monitor this. Or if you sell on online, your e-commerce stores, most of them have this already. You might need to download the data to get what you need, but it shows you this on a cumulative level. And then looking at your marketing KPIs, the website sessions, traffic by channel, and then you're looking at your costs to be sure that everything it's within it, because you don't want to spend 1 million to get 1 million. That doesn't make sense. So you need to also make sure you're looking at that, and then repeat customer rates and all this. So, but do you see how we've been able to break down how to achieve this goal? And then that makes it something you can work on. Now, this is an aspect of the clarity we talked about. It all depends on what stage your business is, what goal you're trying to achieve. That decides what kind of growth map and the journey you will go to. This goal may not attend to your business, but the issue is that if you have seen how we worked out this one, if you have a goal of what you want the business to make in this next 12 months, of course, this is March, so we're already talking about that's 9 months. You can start today and then have that goal. Okay, this is what I want us to do. And then how do we get there? And also it mustn't always have to be money. It might be, okay, if your business, depending on the kind of business you do, let's say maybe you're the kind of business that reach out to people, maybe in hospitality or whatever you do, it might be, this is what we do. Then we need this number of people. This is what we want to achieve this year. So where do we start? How do we get those people? What do we need to do first to get to this goal? This is something. And if you're confused, or if you still don't know how to get, because sometimes it might be overwhelming, then you can reach out, and that's where we can also come in to support what you're doing. Then yeah. So I've been talking all this while. So what I want you to do is a quick clarity self-assessment, to ask yourself, do I know the result I'm building towards? And if you know it, good. So you need like 1 to 5. Is it very clear? Do you really know, okay, I know what I'm doing? If your answer is between 4 to 5, then that's good. It's an area to scale. Okay, do I know exactly who I serve and what they need now? Then is the value of my offer easy to understand? Do I know how growth will happen in this season? And then do I know the steps I must execute consistently? Do you see the 5 pillars I told you? If you don't go out with anything today, think about these 5 pillars: vision, audience, offer, strategy, and action. So once you're able to answer this question, the answer to this question determines the next thing that you need to do. And then the lowest score often shows that there's a clarity gap to solve. So when is a clarity gap? Then you need to get clear on what you're doing before you can even talk about any other stage. So If you don't get anything, as I said, these 5 pillars: vision, audience, offer, strategy, and action. Ask yourself, do I know, can I answer this question about my business? And if you can't, then which particular or which one of them, like the guy I told you, had 4 of the question answered, but number 3 was not ticked. And that was hurting the business until it was fixed. Things started to flow. So if one of them is not working, that might be the one, and you might be doing everything right, it might just be one. And but the main thing is to identify that particular one that is not working. And once it's identified, you find out that you can get to the next stage. But define one growth goal, narrow the audience, sharpen the offer, focus on 3 priorities, and then review consistently. So do not try to clarify everything at once. Just choose one goal, clarify the next decision, priorities, measure, once you get used to this, then it's easier to scale and to go to the next level. So that's the thing. So 30-day clarity reset you can have in your businesses: reflect and assess, review your goals, score your clarity, note where you feel stuck, and then clarify who you serve. And as I mentioned, that what you're selling is not a commodity. If you keep selling it as a product, it becomes a commodity. But when you identify the problem your product serves, the way you talk about it differs, and it gives it a different set of value. But you are the one that will answer this problem, or you need to reach out and then and get help to answer that. And then prioritize growth actions. Align your message and sales and calendar to suit what you want to achieve. Then implement, watch the number, adjust with evidence. So these small sheets can help you get clear on how you want your growth to come over the next 30 days. So when direction is clear, strategy becomes simpler and action becomes stronger. I said it before, it gives you momentum. You wake up, you know why what you're doing matters, and you want to do it. You don't come from a place of burnt out. You come from a place of, I know what I'm doing, I know the result I want to get, and you get that. So the next step you can do, we have a clarity checklist on our website, zplusconsulting.com. If you type it there, you're going to see the clarity checklist you can download, and then it shows you where you are, and then choose one action to implement this week in your business to help you get to the next stage. Thank you so much for listening to me, and time for questions. Hello.
Thank you so much, Joy. That's a round of applause. You made it look so simple. Thank you. And I see it as simple. So thank you very much. I don't have any questions right now.
Thank you so much for that feedback. Any other person has anything to say or question or feedback? Yeah, welcome. Okay. I think silent means all is okay. All right, that's fine. If do you want to say something?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I want to say thank you very much. Just like the previous speaker said, you've made it so simple, but it's obvious that all these things you have said are what will help us as business people to really structure our business and make sure we grow. So for somebody like me, I think I will be coming to really get in depth, on knowing how to structure these things to just help the business move to the next level. Thank you for bringing this to this platform. And I'm sure it will help many other people. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for that feedback. Who else? Junior, Serial, can we hear from you? Cynthia? I think someone was coming. Okay, that's fine. Efri, do you want to say something?
She might not be here because she said she'll
Okay.
be popping in and popping out.
Okay. Okay, that's
because she's
fine.
at work, I think.
Okay. All right, that's fine. If there's no other comments or anything from anyone, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And please feel free to reach out. And please, if you don't, we've introduced BABN at the beginning of this section that we are British African Business Network and we support businesses. I think the link to join is in this chat. John, can you send the link here so that anybody can just get it through and then join?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And then this is our number and our email address. Joshua, sorry, email address and phone number, please. Feel free to join this group and then get your questions answered. It's not just this particular seminar. We have different people coming every month to share different aspect of businesses that helps you to grow. I think next month, I can't remember what topic we are having, but last month we were told about how to think, how to plan. So all these things are just helping us to build stronger, entrepreneurs who can actually scale our business and take it to build a lasting legacy. The link is now on the chat on how to join BABN. And please feel free to reach out and we're more than welcome. I'm happy to welcome you. With nothing else, I think we're going to be closing for today. And I will say thank you once again to everybody for coming here. And we hope to see you again in our next seminar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye. Bye. You're welcome, Junior. Thank you. Joshua.